We were lied to, folks. We were lied to. We were promised as Warriors fans that this front office was ready for the offseason. They were locked in, ready to go to build around this Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green core. And the Warriors can't even get Jonathan Kuminga's contract signed, much less even get a trade for him. And now the latest reports, the latest news in terms of the Warriors' next signing, the next guy that's being brought in is Kevin Love. That's right, 2016, 2014, that might be exciting to a lot of Warriors fans. In fact, it almost happened nearly a decade ago, over a decade ago, maybe now at this point, trading away Klay Thompson. Thank God that didn't happen, but now in 2025, the big free agent signing, the big free agent acquisition is looking like Kevin Love, according to these latest reports. So we're going to break down what's going on with these latest updates, why this just doesn't make sense for the Golden State Warriors here right now, and other free agent options that are on the table, that are in the picture for Golden State avoiding this, Kevin Love approach. So lots of stuff to break down, but folks, if you are patiently waiting for all the latest news and want the latest updates and what's going on with this Golden State Warriors team, and you're a part of the 75% of our viewers that have not hit the subscribe button but are tuning into all the videos, what are you doing? If you're enjoying, it's free. You can click the button down below and you won't miss any updates that are going on with this team, because it looks like the Warriors are trying, and they're trying to get in the mix of these different names. And this latest name is just sad. It's just sad where this season has come to. So let's just jump straight into it in terms of these latest updates, because right now the Golden State Warriors are the only team in the NBA that haven't really made any moves. And essentially, news has come out that after being traded to the Utah Jazz, Kevin Love is expected to agree to a buyout and enter free agency. And that has led some teams to be interested in picking up his services. And right now, among those favorites, the second most favorite team to land Kevin Love is the Golden State Warriors. The Cavs are number one, so his former team out there in Cleveland are number one, but right behind him are the Golden State Warriors in terms of the most likely destinations for Kevin Love to end up this season. So what's going on with Kevin Love? Can he still play? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people, the last time they feel like they've seen Kevin Love play was the NBA Finals. So can he still hoop? Well, he's still out there. He played for the Miami Heat last season, and we'll take a look at his stats here. Now, basically 5 points per game, 4 rebounds, shot 36% from the three-point line, and 36% on corner threes. He's 36 years old. He's old. He's washed. He's not playing a ton of minutes per night. He's a big man, a body that can come in, and we know the Warriors are in need of a big man, so that's one thing out there on the wish list. If you're hoping, you're praying that the Warriors bring in a big man, that Kevin Love might be your guy, might be your fit. Now, of course, Al Horford is still in the mix of the Golden State Warriors. As of recording, he is not signed with this team just yet. I wouldn't be surprised if this happens by the time this video ends up going out, but we'll see. But Al Horford's decisions becoming between the Nuggets as well as the Golden State Warriors, deciding between those and his next team. The Brad Stevens essentially came out and said he's leaving the Boston Celtics, so it's like the Warriors, the Nuggets, the Lakers are getting some run in there, and then retirement for Al Horford. So that's where his decision's coming in, and then basically, regardless, because the Warriors right now, if we take a look at their roster construction, how many players, they have a lot of guys out there suited up under contract going into next season. Of course, once JK gets signed, then you can have more of an opportunity to fill out the rest of the bench. That's why Summer League is very, very important this year, to see which young guys could come in and have an impact out there on this team and, have some run, because, the Warriors are pretty cap-struck right now, and we'll see what happens with the Damian Lillard situation. Made a whole video on him yesterday. You can definitely check that out. But basically, Kevin Love coming in, he's not going to be that impact player. If, he's the big name that the Warriors try to sell the fan base on as, oh, we got a guy, a former champion, a former all-star, and all that stuff coming in. He is not that guy anymore. You can space the floor, but, when you look at the Warriors roster, it's not even that great of a fit, because you have a guy like Quinten Post who, is bigger, to play that role better now at this point in his career than a Kevin Love. So defensively, it would be a liability. The Warriors need some guys that, especially, with aging stars out there, that can take the load off a little bit defensively, take the load off in terms of creation, shot making, and stuff. Kevin Love is not the ideal fit unless, you get him on the minimum, and he's just a guy that you have out there as a veteran presence that, you can reliably give you 5-10 minutes per night, not asking him to do too much. So that's what's going on with Kevin Love here now at this point. Mike Dunleavy has not made those moves in order to, get this stuff to make it happen. But basically, Kevin Love has been rumored, has been touched on by different articles. I don't love it. And there are some other free agent options I think are way more opportune for the Golden State Warriors to go after. And the first one, Randy touched on in a recent video, but Chris Boucher, a former Golden State Warrior, played like 2 games for Golden State, maybe 1 game, is a guy that I think would be the absolute heist for Golden State, at that big man spot this season. As first, we'll take a look at his stats, and he's a guy that had a very interesting year out there with the Toronto Raptors last year. So essentially, averaged 10 points per game, 4.5 rebounds. Those steals and blocks aren't there, but he is a very, very strong help side defender. He's 6'9", has some long arms. He won Defensive Player of the Year out there in the G League like 5, 6, 7 years ago now at this point, but really has been a quintessential role player for the Toronto Raptors, and didn't get a ton of run last season because the Toronto Raptors were overtly trying to tank. And in the games Chris Boucher played, it was limited minutes, it was limited run, and he shot 36% from the three-point line and 40% on corner threes, and he did that with the most sporadic season in regards to minutes, in terms of role, in terms of everything. Literally, it couldn't have been a tougher spot for, a veteran big man to be in out there in Toronto last year, and he was still able to put up phenomenal stats. He had a great attitude through it all, and frankly, defensively would really help out the Golden State Warriors. Chris Boucher coming in, being able to knock down threes. He's not going to be your traditional 5. You don't want him to come out and be your starting center by any means, but he can come in off the bench during certain matchups, play the 5 position for you, take some load off of whatever center the Golden State Warriors have out there full-time running the 5, but really could be a stretch big man, a 4, can start at the 4 position, if needed, depending on how the roster is looking after the Jonathan Kuminga trade with the Al Horford signings or whatever's going on. But Boucher is really a guy that would be so much a way better fit than Kevin Love would be out there on this roster if, that's the direction that the Warriors are going in and signing a big man. And there are other players, even, a similar mold to Kevin Love, looking for those 3-point spacing big man. Other names on this list is Trey Lyles, who played for the Sacramento Kings. They dealt with some injuries early on in the year, but and defensively, the Kings didn't have a ton of options there. He was one of the guys that Kings fans actually liked at that spot. 6.5 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, 34% from the three-point line, 38% from corner threes. Only 29 years old. Like a guy that can actually just be a rotation player out there for this Warrior squad. At that big man spot, similar stuff, played out of position out there with the Sacramento Kings. Like, it's, slim pickings here now at this point. Chris Boucher, I genuinely think, would be a steal for Golden State, but Trey Lyles, if you're going on those minimum deals, these guys are better than the options that are there. Kevin Love, who's 36 years old, going to be 37 next season, and defensively is just super ultra cooked. So, Boucher would be my number 1 option instead of a Kevin Love, but those guys there, out there else, otherwise in the mix. Precious Achiuwa would also be an interesting guy, especially on the defensive end of the floor. He played a lot of center for the Raptors a couple seasons ago, so, the Knicks, I play backup center there as well, a bit more with, Karl Anthony Towns. However you want to define the roles out there in the front court with Precious and Towns, and then Mitchell Robinson, of course, was the 5 when they were running out there. And then you don't really have many other options at the big man position. You're looking for more washed former Cleveland Cavaliers. Tristan Thompson's another name. But Al Horford's a guy that I think is, hopefully the fit. And then you can add, ideally, Chris Boucher, who's already been linked to the Golden State Warriors. Precious Achiuwa, so get some defense or something along those lines. And Marvin Bagley, even, who I'm not as high on, but still is a big body that you can throw out and, make something happen out there for this group. So we'll see what ends up shaking out. I really, really hope that, unless it's a deep bench signing, Kevin Love isn't the big free agent swing outside after the Jonathan Kuminga deal is made. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. You guys the best thing as far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I mean, you made it this far, 8 minutes and 30 seconds. And if you're still part of the 75% that haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, what do you do? It's free. It helps us out a ton. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.